Since my first impression video, my thoughts have definitely changed over him. I definitely at the start thought he was going to be a little underwhelming and a bit weak, and I was absolutely wrong, but not totally. His damage is pretty good since he works functionally kind of like a lemon zest. So let's go over that with his kit. For his passive Exquisite Cuisine, if all attacks hit, his gauge is charged up and you receive stacks of Sated. Each Sated stack increases damage of Basil Smash and Pesto Grinder, which is both his skill and his basic attack. The Sated effect increases the overall damage of Basil Smash and Pesto Grinder by 4% per stack, lasting for 3 seconds and stacking up to 5 times, which is a total of 20% damage increase, which is quite a bit for any DPS, as we've seen supports really increase the damage of their allies with a lot of buffs. So for Basil Pesto to be a self buffer kind of like Chili Pepper, this is gonna be really good on him. His basic attack, Basil Smash, he swings his hammer, attacking up to 3 times. They do a solid amount of damage, which is really nice as none of his kit actually lacks any damage. He does seem to be pretty useful no matter what ability you end up using. For his charge up attack, Pesto Grinder, he consumes the gauge bar to spin around, dealing continuous damage to all nearby enemies. Again, the bar does last a pretty nice amount of time to unload, and it's actually pretty fast to reload as well, unlike Lemon Zest, who takes a little bit more of everything to charge up. I will display it on the screen just to compare it. For his skill Basil Crush, he charges the enemy, then attacks with a wide swing with the hammer, which is actually a very weird looking ammo bar, I'm not gonna lie, but you'll get used to it eventually. And the amount of gauge charge he gains is 20%, which is a pretty solid amount. For his ultimate Flavor Drop, he jumps in the air and then slams down his hammer, dealing 1200% of skill damage, and the charge gained for his gauge bar is up to 30%. So just by using his skill and ultimate once each in one cycle, you already have 50% of the bar gauge fully filled, which is really incredible. And it helps that his skill actually doesn't even take that long, it's only 10 seconds. But still, if you know how to cycle characters properly and their skills, you'll definitely be able to take advantage of the time and fill up his bar properly. For the first time ever, I believe this is the first time a promotion actually added an extra skill to a character. I'm not talking about something like Cream Soda's extra wave or something like that. They straight up added an extra skill to Basil Pesto with his promotion, Culinary Expert. He increases the number of uses of his Basil Crush as well as its damage. He gets to use the skill 1 extra time, and the damage increase is by 50%, which, as you would know, any damage increase is incredible. Though I do believe just adding the extra skill is already a good amount of power increase. The extra damage is just so good. Promotion 3 is your normal attack, defense, and HP stat increase by 8%. Promotion 4, Secret Recipe. The Sated effect is enhanced by 75%, which obviously is going to be a crap ton, as you get the 20% from his basic passive, plus the extra 75, that is 95% of damage increase, which is so stupid broken. And then for his last promotion, Promotion 5, Incredible Strength, Flavor Drop damage is increased by 50%, and when Flavor Drop hits, you gain 60% of gauge charge over 6 seconds. So it's not an immediate 60% that you gain, you just get a 60% increase on how much of the bar you get. So for example, if you attacked once, and that would be 1% of the gauge bar, now it would be 5 to 6% of the gauge bar. I like what they did with Basil Pesto because they did not make the same mistake that they did with Lemon Zest, which Lemon Zest just got a little bit of light damage boost, a skill damage boost, or something like that. I'm gonna be honest, I can't even remember his promotions. The only promotion that was worth it for him is Promotion 5, but to get that you have to go through the other garbage promotions that he had. Unlike him, Basil Pesto has nothing to do with his charge up attack. It's on his passive, it's on his skill, and his ultimate, but they all align together because it helps him in the end for his charge up attack, which is honestly so genius to do. And I feel like they have to rework Lemon Zest at some point. Honestly, my boy is still massacred. If we get another light DPS, I'm sorry Lemon Zest lovers, but you're never seeing him again. He's also one of the few cookies that I feel like have so many versatile combinations of equipment and artifacts, so let's go over his best artifacts. Now obviously at the top of the top, his best in-slot artifact is going to be his signature, a Worm Meal. His default effect increases crit rate by 25%, which already by the extra crit rate he gets from him just being ascended and fully maxed out on levels, you already have a good amount of crit rate, which this just helps him be built so much easier and allows you to focus on other stats rather than just fully crit rate and crit damage. For his unique ability, direct hits with attacks grant stacks of Piping Hot, and direct hits with the special skills grant the flavorful effect. Piping Hot increases the elemental damage by 13% per stack, lasting for 3 seconds and stacking them to 3 times, so a total of 39% of elemental damage increase. And Flavorful increases the crit rate by 9%, lasting for 15 seconds, and it's just another way to make him even easier to be built. Honestly, such a great artifact, would recommend it. Any DPS that has crit rate or crit damage artifacts, honestly, just get them. They're always going to be the best, and they're always going to be useful on future characters. You could also just go with the normal Strange Bruin table, which increases the crit damage by 24% and the basic attack damage is increased by 18% for the unique ability. You can even use Wanted, Crumbled, or Alive for an extra increase of 20% while HP is above 80%. And you can also use Reciprocity for an extra attack increase of 20%, and the special skill cooldown is reduced by 80% to fill up the gauge bar way more. Honestly, you have a lot more common options. You honestly do have rares or even epics, since epics right now are very niche for Smash characters. So honestly, if you want to go for something, use one of the common ones if you are a free-to-play player. Obviously, his best weapon is going to be the Giant Pesto Pulverizer, as he gets an increase of attack of 13.65% and he gets a total damage increase of 20%. Besides those, you can use 30 Baguette Staff as you get some extra attack and crit damage. Same with Boomerang Candy, instead of crit damage, you get a nice crit rate amount. And if you think you have enough crit rate or crit damage because of your builds, you can obviously go for the Golden Orange Shogun Spear as you get a lot of attack increase. Now, this is where it gets really finicky. You have quite a bit of sets that you can use on him. The Wind Spirit, the Sugar Feather, the Suspicious Hunter, the Memory Shard, but it all comes down to what game mode you're using. If you're gonna mainly use them on Glass Labyrinth, the Wind Spirit and the Memory Shard set is gonna be the best, as the Wind Spirit increases overall wind damage and wind attack, and the Memory Shard set increases defense penetration by 6% and the ultimate damage plus 10% when using special skills, which can stack up to 2 times. If you have promotion 2 on Basil Pesto, this is gonna be really solid, as you also get an ultimate damage increase and many more substats from the full set. The Suspicious Hunter set and the Sugar Feather set can also be used there, but these 2 sets are more used on raid mode and probably Champions Raid once that comes out. Now, the reason why the Suspicious Hunter works best on him is because he gets an increase of attack and you get the extra crit value from the set itself, and basic attacks damage increased by 15% for 15 seconds after using your skill. So this set will be his best set as it aligns with his kit fully and will probably be his best overall. Now, he only has one team, which is literally gonna be replacing Rye in it. It's gonna be a Rockstar and Plantain. Plantain, obviously, he's gonna deal a lot of damage, and Rockstar just increases overall attack. And depending on what set you have, you can defense down, you can have more attack up on his ultimate, you have more buffs from his artifact if it's high promoted. You have so many options with these 2 combined, and you just need to add Basil Pesto and just switch his equipment as needed. You can swap out Rockstar for Chamomile and obviously use the same kind of things. You can use the Eminent Herbalist Hairdress just to deal a little bit more damage and increase their attack, or you can even use the defense down by the Ghost Captain set to use on enemies. He doesn't have many options as of right now for support, at least for his element, but we do have good supports overall. But if you still don't have them, Candy Drop, Lemon, Chamomile, Rockstar, and Blackberry will all work. Though some of them don't match the elements, they still work. And Candy Drop is just a universal tagger. She literally works with everyone. Ever since my first impressions video, I really thought he was gonna be trash, absolute garbage, dog water, do not even pull. But he ended up being much better than I thought, and I think after some time of considering and thinking, I'm glad that he's actually good, because he's actually a very, very decent character to invest in right now, especially if you plan to go for promotions, as he's gonna be good overall with promotions and with teammates in the future. I doubt they'll release another win character, at least that it's a DPS soon, thank God. But we still need a support, so I'll be glad if they release a win support, just not another DPS or a tagger, since Plantain I feel like can't be power crept unless you really, really put a lot of buffs into a new win tagger. I don't think there's any plans for that as the year is ending, but until then, I do believe you should definitely pull on Basil Pesto. That is, if you do not have Rye. Rye is incredible in her own ways and works with a lot of sets that even Basil Pesto uses. But unless you have Rye really high promoted or really invested, don't pull on Basil Pesto, as you will save yourself a lot of currency for future supports or more important characters for the game. Unless you really just like Basil Pesto and don't mind pulling for him, or you just don't care, want every character. It's always going to be up to you, but the smartest thing to do is, if you have Rye, definitely do not pull Basil Pesto, since it will take a while since we have another win DPS. That way Rye will still stay in the meta if you don't have Basil Pesto. So until then, I guess that'll be it. If you guys also want to join my Discord server, I'll leave a link down to it below. I made a community post on it. I just hope to see you guys there, because I do plan a lot of cool things by next year and by the end of this year. So, I guess I'll see you guys over there if you join. So, this will be it for this guide. So, yeah, goodbye.